So, a couple that braids together stays together.
Squat, squat.
We decided, well, first I decided I want to do braids. He's wanting to do braids.
What?
He's been wanting to do braids for a minute.
Right. Before, and she knew I was getting them, so she put them in. I come home, and she already in the bathroom doing her braids up. I mean, she wanted to be like me. It's cool.
But you know. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Trinity Sierra, and today me and my husband are talking about my delivery story, which is technically our delivery story. If you enjoy this video, make sure you like it, give it a thumbs up, make sure you comment what you want to see next, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. During my pregnancy, I had a pretty good pregnancy. I didn't really know like what to expect, and so I was really just coasting throughout the entire pregnancy until literally the very end. I want to say we went to my doctor's appointment. Side note, if you're a first-time mom, you're not actually going to have your daughter or your son on your due date. It's normal to go a week or a few days over, and so that's exactly what happened to me. I was 40 weeks and I had my doctor's appointment to see like what was going on, how come the baby didn't arrive or dropped and labor hadn't started yet. So we had my doctor's appointment and the doctor was like, hey, let's hook you up to a machine to see like the baby's heartbeat and to monitor contractions. The doctor was like, if the baby doesn't come on its own, you have to schedule a induction. And so we were at the doctor's office and she hooked me up to the monitor. It was like, oh, you're skyrocketing after the machine. Actually, like, your contractions are 100. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was like, you should be able to feel it. And so I looked at my husband and I'm like, I don't feel a thing. And so she was like, okay, well, this is really weird. Why don't you feel your stomach? And she was like, don't you feel your stomach getting harder? And I was like, yeah, it's getting rock hard. Like, I felt this over the past, like, month, but I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And so she was like, well, those are contractions. And I was like, oh, well, my doctor said that it would hurt. I want to be able to breathe. Basically, like, you feel like you're dying. And she was like, well, these are contractions, and so you are feeling it. And so the baby's heart rate looks fine. Like, we should start with the next step.
Go through all those testings and everything was fine, and we actually got an ultrasound.
Yeah, we did. We got an ultrasound.
We were able to get an ultrasound,
and we were able to see our baby's face in 3D,
which really is very expensive. Those ultrasounds get very expensive, so for them to just throw that in there was nice. I was super anxious, and once going in there, we knew that we might have to talk about an induction.
Yeah.
And so the doctor was like, well, when do you guys want to be induced? Like, we're going to have to, you know, get you induced. And I said today. I was trying to get it over with.
He was like, I want to meet my daughter, like, now.
Yeah, like, let's go ahead right now. And so they were like, well, it takes us a process, so no, we can't do right now, but let's do 6 a.m. in the morning. So we were okay. We were already packed. We packed like 2 weeks prior, so we were already ready to go. Her parents were in town, which was nice.
Because they thought she was supposed to come on her due date. And so
I have to go to work at this point. And she was having some like leaking or whatever. We didn't know if it was her water breaking. We didn't know what it was. But she called the people and they said, well, if it continues, like, come in. Like, and they knew we had an appointment in the morning. I'm at work and Trinity calls me and she says, hey, the leaking hasn't stopped. Like, me and my dad are going to run over to the hospital. And I'll let you know if it's anything serious or something like that. And I was just completely just shocked that she would even say something like that. So I was like, you know what? Like, are you about to go right now? She said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll be home in 10 minutes.
And I was telling him, like, it might not be anything. You need to stay at work and, you know, get that money. Because at the end of the day, I don't want you to just leave if it's not serious. It's
my daughter. It's always going to be serious. It was serious from the jump. So that's what my mindset was. I left work like an hour early, maybe 2. Went shot home. Literally walked in the door. Said, "All right, let's go." We got in the car, drove over. The hospital is like 30 minutes away, so that was a situation. But whatever. So we get to the hospital. We go in. We check in. Trinity gets checked. And
my water did not break. But since we were already scheduled for an induction at 6 a.m. and it's like now
10. It was like
10 o'clock. they were like, well, just, you can either go home or you can stay here. Right. The choice is up to you. A lot of people want to go home. And I was like, yeah, I was leaning towards going home. But then she said, well, some people go home and then try to come back in the morning and we're slammed and we can't get them. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to go back home, come back, or call and see if y'all are slammed and then have to wait like 3 or more days, because now it's like a risk factor and I don't want anything to happen to our baby. So I was like, okay, we're just going to stay here. And he went to the car and got all the bags. And they were like, okay, we can start inducing you. And
I was like, wait. Because my other thing was we didn't eat.
Oh,
so we didn't have any food. There was no, like, nothing. But at this hospital we were at, they give you, the patient one meal, and then they give...
The patient has a guest.
Right. So we decided to stay, call everybody, the parents and cousins and whoever we needed to talk to. Told them that we were
in the hospital, like, we're staying, we're starting our induction.
Right. So they told Trinity she couldn't eat. So because of that, we had to wait for the food to get there, which was an hour. And then after that, they came and started the induction. And there's like a 4-step process. They took a pill and like cut it up into 4s and was giving it to Trinity for her to start her contractions faster to help the entire process.
Labor.
Yeah, to start labor.
However, what ended up kind of being the turning point of our labor was I was supposed to get 4 doses, and I started at like 10 o'clock. I got 1 dose. I didn't feel a thing. We had just got our food. We started eating. Within a few hours later, I think around 2, I started to feel contractions. And Trey was like, hey, like, what's going on? I see your face is like tightening up. And at first it was like, okay, this is doable. Like, these were just regular menstrual cramps. Like, this is okay. And then within like 10 minutes of me saying, oh, I can do this, it ended up being full-blown contractions. So the doctor ended up coming in there, and the nurse was like, oh my God, your contractions are way too close together. Like, they're 2 minutes apart. We can't give you any more doses. Or it was less than that, actually. You're supposed to breathe in between your contractions. So it only like lasts 30 seconds, but it goes up, and that going up is like terrible because your stomach tightens. It feels like lava is emptying in my guts. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
And then when it goes down, it's still pressure, but then it's more durable. Trey's like, well, what can I do? What can I do? He's trying to get like lean close and give me support, and I'm like, just get out of my face. Just get out of my face.
You're too close. I'm like,
because I couldn't breathe.
It's hot. I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
I couldn't breathe. It was overwhelmingly hot, and he's just chilling. Like, he's just smiling. At this point, he's kind of laughing because he's like, yeah, like, this is kind of funny because I don't know what's going on with Trinity. And I'm like, it's not funny. You think it's funny. And then the doctors come in, and I'd be like, calm. And then they would leave, and I'd be like spazzing again because Trey was just like, all right, well, I'll just go to sleep. Then at one point, he was like, I'll just take a shower.
Because here's what happened. So there was a very long time span after she got her first dose, before the contractions picked up, that it was nothing happening. So because of that, I was trying to sleep. We were trying to rest before everything picked up, but I couldn't sleep. Like, I was too nervous, too anxious, too everything. I just kept thinking about this. I was trying to make sure, like, all right, well, what if this happens? Like, what if this goes wrong? Like, what if this happens? I don't know what to expect. So I tried to lay down, couldn't go to sleep, and usually the only thing that can really like relax me is a shower. So I got in that shower and turned the water up and was in there for like 45 minutes just for trying to like get my mental ready, because I was tripping because I just didn't know what to expect. I wasn't like scared or anything bad was gonna happen, but I was just ready. Like when we went into the hospital and they talked about inducing us, I thought it was going to be more like, okay, she's here in like an hour or 2. I didn't really realize it's going to be potentially, like, we were in there for 26 hours by then, but it got to the point where it was so bad, and they wouldn't let her take a bath because we were kind of relying on, like, okay, let's get in the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
The nurse kept saying, well, let's wait because the doctor's coming. The doctor's going to come, he's going to check you, blah, whatever. So we're like, okay, but she had came and checked us like 4 or 5 times. And so now the doctor still hasn't came. Then there was a switch in doctor, so it went from a girl to a man.
It was like 3 different doctors in less than 20 hours. So I think they have rotations. I know they have rotations of every 12 hours.
We caught the end of one doctor.
Yeah.
Then it went to another doctor. Then it was the man doctor. And then it was the last one who delivered us was a woman.
Right.
But she had just got there.
She had just got there.
The nurse was like, well, he's right here. I just got him. Like, we can, he'll be in here. He just said he's coming. I had to grab him and steal him or whatever.
And I was telling her, I was like, if you don't go get that doctor, I'm getting in the bath. Because the thing is, she didn't want to stop me from getting in the bath. She just didn't want me to get in the bath and then have to get out and then get dressed just for the doctor to see me.
But at that point, it didn't matter.
At that point, it did not matter because I was feeling everything. I went from happy-go-lucky to now I feel like...
the Hulk.
Literally.
So get her in the bath, start the jacuzzi. I'm trying to like keep her warm. I was giving her like massages, like trying to like whatever.
He was trying and it was working until I started to puke and throw up.
And then that just turned into the next thing.
I was like, ugh. I was throwing up stuff that wasn't even anything I had ate.
It was like popsicles, like because she couldn't eat, so she could only suck on like juice, popsicles, like
right.
Jell-O.
I couldn't have anything because then it would make you sick during labor and you would puke and throw up what was happening. When you bring in another popsicle, when you bring it in, just change up the flavors, make some something different. So she would like rotate that every hour or so. So by the time I got in the bath, like I'm throwing up like green liquids and
yeah,
it was nasty.
So Trinity's on the toilet, I'm holding her hair, she's throwing up. Get me the epidural. Throwing up everywhere. I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is not what I had imagined our night was going to go. So she's throwing up. The nurse comes in. We kind of tell her what's going on. She was like, okay, well, this doctor that you have is real easy on epidurals. Like, he just gives them to whenever you want them, he'll give it to you.
Yeah.
So we were able to get that, but by this time, it's like morning. Like, they schedule the epidural. The lady comes in, and Trinity hates needles, so they had to like distract her.
Hates needles.
But whatever, they scheduled the epidural, get it in there, and then from there she was like good to go. Like she was back to the Trinity that we all knew. And so.
Yeah. So they give me the epidural, and I'm sitting here like, I cannot feel a thing. Trey, I can't feel my bottom 2 feet. Like, I cannot feel anything. And Trey's like, well, you good? You good? Yeah, you acting way better. You acting way better.
Way different at that point.
So, by that time, I'm just enjoying it. I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be a great stretch. And they're like, I think the new nurse came. She came and was like, hey, like, my name's Sally. I'm going to be your nurse, and probably I'm going to get you to push the baby. Like, I'm going to be the one who delivers your baby. So I'm like, great. We're moving towards the final lap. And she comes, and she's like, but you're like 2.5 centimeters.
And you have to be 10, for those who don't know.
Dilated. So I said, okay.
You know, a couple hours, everything just started happening.
My water broke, but I didn't know.
Right.
Because I couldn't feel anything. Like the epidural hit and it was strong. I was high on clouds. So I'm sitting here like, I think my water broke, but I can't feel anything beneath my belly button. So when the nurse came in, I was like, excuse me, like I think my water broke. And she said, I don't think you're supposed to feel that, but okay, I'll check. So she checked, and she was like, oh my God, your water did break. And as soon as she moved my legs, like all the water that was like kind of building up was like gushing. She was like, it's just a lot. Sally's the one that came in and was like, hey, we're probably going to deliver your baby since your water has broken. But now it's like 2:30.
Right.
During that time, me and Trey start to just relax. Like, we're like, okay, the baby's coming, the baby's coming. Trey's getting up. He's checking out the machines. Like, he's watching the heart rate of the baby. And he's like, oh, you're in a contraction. Do you feel it? And I'm like, nah, I don't feel a thing.
The contractions were still coming, so that was good. It was good to see that she wasn't in pain anymore. That was my big thing, like, that she wasn't in pain. And so the doctor comes in, and this was like a 3-hour time span. The doctor comes in and they check her cervix, and she went from 2.5 right after she got the epidural to 9.5 in like 3 hours, 2 hours. So now they're like, oh, well, you just have a little lip. Like once that goes, like you're gonna be ready to go.
And she was like, I want the baby to like really drop so you don't have to push as long.
Right.
And so I said, okay, that's great. So she was like, we should start actually, the time interval is a little fuzzy, but she was like, we should start pushing at 8.
Right.
So I said, okay, at 8 o'clock we're gonna start pushing. She was like, yeah, just prepare because there's gonna be a lot of energy. Like sometimes women can push in 2 seconds and they're good. Sometimes it might last another 2 days.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, I'm being an optimistic person. I'm like, it's not gonna last that long. Like we're gonna get this baby out. Let her sit as long as you need to.
Right.
So literally, I think 2 hours later, she came back because I knew by then I was 10 centimeters.
Yeah, it was just a waiting game at that point. So she came back to check and checked her cervix. She was like, oh, like she has a lot of hair. She has curly hair. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, and I saw her hand, so I'm like, all right, she's had to have dropped because her hand didn't go
that far.
Yeah, that far. So I'm like, okay. So she's clearly right there. Like, all right, let's get this done. She was like, okay, well, babies tend to slide in and out when you first start. So let's just start the pushing now, just to get her started.
Right before I started pushing, I started to feel pain. And I told the doctor.
Oh, man. Right.
I told the doctor, I said, I'm feeling pain. But before that, I told Trey. And Trey was like, well, why don't you just press the button and get more epidural release? So I pressed the button, and the epidural had got released. And then I told the doctor because they were like, well, just let us know.
Yeah, and the nurse came in and she said, yeah, well, I'm feeling a little pain because the release didn't hit her yet. So the nurse goes, oh, just hit the button. And so now Trinity's double shot up. She probably didn't feel nothing.
I started actually freaking out because before I couldn't feel anything from my belly button below. Now it's getting to the point where I can't feel my back. And I'm like, Trey, I cannot feel my back. I cannot believe she hit the button again. I can't feel anything. Like now I'm starting to get scared because I don't want to be in labor for that long.
Right.
Because I can't
push
because I can't feel anything. And so I'm pushing as hard as I can because I can't feel a thing. And Trey's like, you know what? It's just gonna be okay. Like just push. Like I'm sure you're fine.
So she counts to 3. 1, 2, 3, push, and Trinity pushed. And Nyla's head like came out, and so the nurse was like, "Oh wait," and like didn't push it back in, but kind of like stopped it. Like
yeah,
it was like, okay, I need to go get the doctor because you're about to have the baby. Like she's right here.
And I'm sitting here because I don't know what's going on. So I'm looking at Trey, and Trey's eyes just get wide, like extremely wide. He looks at me like. And I'm like, Trey, like, what's going on? What's going on?
Hey, because you don't know what that looks like.
And he's like, yo.
Nah.
He turns around. He starts, like, people who have asthma, like, you know how you breathe and then you have to lean over.
Nah,
don't
she's
lie.
Gas
this
it.
boy is, like, literally leaning over, and I'm thinking something's wrong. I'm like, Trey, just speak to me. Now I'm getting frustrated. And Trey's like, yeah, like, I can't. So he's like, I'm just going to go update your parents on what's going on.
There's nothing to say. When you see something like that, you just don't know what to say. Like, we all knew it's right there, so, but you, like, to see that, it's just a way different situation. Like, I still see it right now as I'm thinking about it. And so they go get the doctor. The doctor comes in and she wasn't even dressed. Starts putting her stuff on all slow. She's like, okay, y'all, like, let's get ready for this. Y'all can start practice pushing. Y'all can start doing that. She was like, well, I told her to stop because one push and the baby was going to be here. The doctor's like, oh, no, like, okay, like, no, just go ahead. So I'm looking like, all right, like. So they count to 3, and I'm holding her leg. They put all the stuff there. Like, I'm holding Trinity's leg. The other 2 nurses got her other leg. They say push. Trinity pushes, and here comes Nyla's head again. And
the doctor screams,
Stop. Oh. She said, okay. So then she started moving a little faster, put all her stuff on, sat down. She said, okay, one push, and you're going ready to meet your baby?
Yeah.
We were like, yeah, like, let's go. Trinity pushed.
The baby came in, like, one push.
Yep, one push. She was here. And then they put her on, and she was like all colored, and it was just, man.
She was all colored.
She was like purple.
Oh yeah, she was purple.
She was purple.
And she's looking around like, what is this?
She was crying.
Crying. She was screaming. They put her on my chest and she was fine. And I want to say that in that moment, like, me and Trey, we completely were just transformed in a second. Because it's so beautiful to see your creation actually be born.
It's the feeling that you just can't explain. Like, as soon as she came out, like, it's just a feeling that I don't even know how to describe it. Like,
it's just surreal. Yeah. It was surreal.
Until I look back down and the doctor goes, placenta's out, and grabs this thing and slams it on the table. And yo, I don't know, y'all most, you know, if you're not pregnant, if you haven't had a kid, you've never seen a placenta properly, or like maybe you've seen it in videos. It's the most weirdest thing ever I've ever seen in my life. Like, and I noticed it from the cutting the umbilical cord, because I said, yeah, I want to cut the umbilical cord. When it comes time to cut the umbilical cord, the doctor's sitting there with the scissors kind of ready to go. So I'm like, yo, excuse me, I'm sorry, but like I said, I was going to cut it. She's like, okay, well, just give me a second.
It's getting defensive because
she had told me, I said I wanted to cut it. So
No. She was getting defensive. I don't think Trey said that. He was just looking like, excuse me. Because, like, everyone knows, like, your significant other, your spouse, your mom, your grandma, whoever's there, like, your support, cuts the umbilical cord. So she just had to get ready because it was, like, it was thick. So Trey was thinking, oh, she's about to cut it. So he, like, stepped up, like, what are you doing? But she was like, I'm just getting it ready because it's thick.
Handed me the scissors, and it took a couple snips to kind of get it all done. But it's like a weird, clear, like white, clear color. All these streaks going through it and all this stuff. I don't know what it was. It looked like an alien. And that's what it really looks like. The placenta was the exact same thing, but it was like a pound of, like, alien. I don't know how to explain it, but it just looks so crazy.
And during that time, like, I didn't see anything. I'm just with the baby. Like, I'm holding her on my chest. Like, we're just having our bonding time. And Trey's going through. It
was just, because I'm at the base. So I'm at the bottom where they're pushing on her stomach. They were all the way, like, in her stomach. Like, they had to touch her spine. They were going so deep in her stomach. The stuff, they had a bag that caught all the access, whatever, like. It was just too much going on out there, and then up top, Trinity's up top holding the baby like everything's fine. I'm looking like, yo, are you not feeling this? Like, I've never seen somebody get pressed on their stomach like that. So they're cleaning Trinity up, no scarring, no ripping, no nothing. Like, it was one push and they were done. And so that was that. Now it was healthy. She was 6 pounds and 15 ounces. For those who are watching this who may be pregnant, or Trinity's whole pregnancy, they said, oh, she's gonna be so little, she's gonna be small, whatever.
Up until the point she was almost due, because I carried so small. And I want to say this because a lot of people are different. During your pregnancy, you're not gonna look like Jennifer Aniston, you're not gonna look like Angelina Jolie, or you're not gonna look like Beyonce. Like, everyone's body is different. It depends on how you take care of your body before you get pregnant. I was like a workout freak. I worked out all the time. And so when I got pregnant, the muscles underneath my stomach were just as tight as a brick wall.
Yeah, for those of you who are wondering, like, you're fine, your baby's not small, it's not, don't let anybody tell you need to eat more, or that there's a problem, or that.
Yeah, because I got discouraged the entire pregnancy. Like, not discouraged to where it's bad, but so many people had their own opinions, like, you're not eating enough, like, you're really bony, or, your baby's not gaining enough weight. And I'm like, well, the doctors say I'm fine. Right. And that was what I had to, like, just remember. Right. Like, I'm fine. I see so many pregnant women, and they'd be looking, from really large to really tiny like me. And so I just had to learn, like, everyone's body is different. And if I felt like I was good, and if I'm taking my prenatals, everything's fine. So you're fine. Like, just know that you're okay. And your baby's okay. And you'll see. And maybe I might show some footage. Should I?
How do you feel?
I feel good.
Ooh.
No, seriously, I feel like it's easy.
It's like. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, honestly.
You got your food?
I got my food. I'm happy. I'm feeling good. So how do you feel?
Feel good. We're in the She just got her food. They did her IVs and all that, so she's gonna get some food before we start digging into this labor. Watching TV shows. So we're good right now. Everything's good. Everything's good.
Yeah, we're good. We're just about to eat. I'm so hungry.
All right.
Alright, so most babies don't need baths but every 3 days. Usually. Yeah, most of them like it pretty good.
You got the daddy face. I'm tired. Oh, you just burped again. Bless you.
You.
Bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
So that was our delivery story. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like it, give it a thumbs up, share it to anyone who's going through the exact same thing, just pregnancy in general, so they could have an encouragement. And if you really enjoyed it, comment in the section below. I'm going to be putting my social media down below so you can follow me, connect with me, say hey, and follow our journey. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.